So did I.
I did.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
All right, we are live.
All right. I'd like to call to order the Finance Committee meeting thanks, Chris, of Tuesday, June 9th. It's 1:02 p.m. here, and we are on the Zoom platform. We have 4 items on our agenda today, 3 items with material behind them, and then any related items. Item number 1 is a resolution authorizing the purchase of a Mitsubishi FG30 forklift with upfits. All of these items are Adam Winders. So Adam, do you want to give us a rundown here?
Sure. If you all remember the CCA that you approved a couple weeks ago, this was one of the items on the CCA. This would be a new Mitsubishi FG30 forklift. It would be purchased from Equipment Depot here in Williamsport. It is under CoStarz, and it would replace the 40-year-old forklift that we currently have. The forklift is a necessary piece of equipment for our fleet maintenance, as well as facility maintenance. With the buses, we have lots of extremely heavy parts, parts shipped in constantly that need unloaded from a truck or put on shelving, and then on an as-needed basis, removed from the shelving and brought down to be placed on the buses. The total cost of the forklift would be $31,271.78. And as I said, this was part of the CCA, which is the federal funding under the capital projects for River Valley Transit.
Sounds good. Adam, is there a match at all coming out of the coming out of RVT?
There is with this. If I remember correctly, it was like $2,000.
Okay. And where's that money coming from?
From the local shares.
Okay.
Is how it was identified under the CCA.
Got it. Sounds good. Bonnie, Adam, questions?
You couldn't let the 40-year-old go a little bit longer, huh?
They tried extremely hard. It does cost quite a bit of money to keep it running currently.
So are we going to sell it for parts, or what are we going to do with it?
We've actually considered transitioning it over to Streets and Parks, because over there they would use it very seldomly, so the wear on it would be very minimal. The cost to keep it running over there versus here would be very minimal. So
it's still operational then?
It is operational to an extent. Like I said, the issue here is that they use it so often that the items wear quicker, where at Streets and Parks, we come over here and borrow RVTs once a month if we're lucky, where here they're operating it every day. So it's got some life left, just not enough to keep it functioning here every day.
Okie dokie. Thank you, Adam.
Do we need to, yeah, do we, if we're going to transition it over to Public Works, is there any kind of formal process we have to go through to just make sure our ducks in a row between if it was bought with federal money versus going back to the city?
Yep. The only thing we have to do is there's a memo that we would send into the FTA to have removed off of the roster here. And we would state right on there that we are giving it to the Public Works Department in the city of Williamsport. Since it's at the 30-year mark, the transition will be very easy, because they really say that the life of that should only be 20 years and it should be replaced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so we have our ducks in a row as far as just making sure that the paper trail and what have you is done right and what have you. So, okay.
Yes, sir.
Cool. I'm good.
All right. Excellent. If there are no further questions, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to forward this to the full body of council with a positive recommendation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item number 2 on the agenda then. Excuse me, Adam. She says as she moves everything around here. This whole not having it official, not having anything like printed out is still, I'm still figuring it out. Item number 2 is a resolution authorizing RBT to engage RKL LLP for auditing services. Mr. Winder.
So it is that time of year for the fiscal audit for River Valley Transit. This year we chose to go with RKL upon investigating auditing firms. RKL came highly recommended by PennDOT and also Solicitor Nagy. We used RKL for EMTA last year, and that was done through an RFP process. Essentially, the cost for the audit for RVT is the same regardless of who you go with. RKL came highly recommended because they focus on transit. 95% of the transit agencies in Pennsylvania are using RKL currently. So we chose just to follow that trend to, with the new administration and new employees here, it made the most sense because we'll learn from RKL on how we should be reporting things and making sure we're doing things correctly and meeting all the milestones we need to. The total for the audit is $35,000 for fiscal year 19 and 20. They are also performing the parking authorities audit currently. And I'll entertain any questions.
Adam, if they're performing the parking authorities audit, who did we use last year?
We used Baker Tilly last year. We used RKL the year before here.
Okay, got it. And why is the cost fixed after a fashion?
I'm sorry?
You said that the cost would be $35,000 pretty much no matter who we went with.
Correct.
Why is it a fixed cost?
Because it's the same amount of work regardless of what firm we would use. They're saying that Baker Tilly said their estimate was $35,000, RKL is $35,000. So we felt there was no difference between the two.
Okay. And where is this coming from in the RVT budget?
This comes out of the operating budget.
Okay.
So it's federal money paying for it.
Got it. And it is not that I currently have RVT's budget in front of me, but which line is it booked under? If we were looking for the expense.
I can find that out for you. The CFO is off on vacation day today, but I'll get that answer for you and shoot you guys an email.
Thanks, Adam. I appreciate it. Bonnie, Adam Yoder.
How long will the audit take, Adam?
Estimated 10 days.
So then we should have this in our hands to see what it was in the next committee meeting then.
That is the hope, yes. If it wasn't by the next committee meeting, I would say shortly thereafter.
Okay,
By the time they get the commitment letter signed, and because I'll need the resolution back from Janice after Thursday night pending it's approved. And
were you not satisfied with Baker Tilly? Just
I don't know anything about Baker Tilly to say. I just went with the recommendation from other transit agencies that they're using RKL, and they said, transit wise, that's all RKL focuses on. So we just felt that it was the best firm to use since they're currently up to date on all federal and state standards.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know about you, Liz, but I've always heard Baker Tilly, and that's just why I'm questioning, you hear, throughout the times I've been on council. So I just wondered why, if they're, did they not?
Does the city's audit, and Baker Tilly actually also does elements of RBT's audit, right, Adam?
Correct. The pieces of the city that come over to RVT, Baker Tilly will do those.
Right.
So they're still involved then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. What I'm wondering is why is it a 10-day process? The city's audit process seems to take months on end. Why is the RVT audit process so much simpler?
The only
why is
reason
it
I
really
can think of is
useful?
because through the FTA, we have to do constant reporting.
Mm-hmm.
So the state and federal government is viewing everything that we're doing currently on a regular basis. Then, RKL would review that and then come in and actually check our formal documents, our paper documents here versus what's online.
Got it. Okay. Excellent. Yeah, it seems like the city's audit is this huge drawn out process. So interesting that RVT's is so short. What about the parking authority? They're not as subject to federal reporting requirements.
Theirs was 7 days. Yeah, 7 days it was done. We're
And
just
did
waiting for
Baker
the
Tilly
document.
handle theirs last year or did RKL?
Who did parking authority last year? Doug?
Baker Tilly.
Baker Tilly did do parking authorities last year.
Okay. I think we'd be interested to see the results of all of those audits when they come in,
Definitely.
whether it's parking authority or RVT or Atlas Mountains to a certain extent, although most of us aren't as familiar with the budgetary needs up there. So that's a little less.
Side-by-side comparisons.
But
that we
I'd
can
be really interested to see the outcome of the parking authorities audit in particular.
Second
And
that
they also get audited through Baker Tilly, through the city. Like their budget gets audited through the city's audit as well. Correct, Adam?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. I mean, it usually shows up in Baker Tilly's packet, but I'm not certain if that was a function of them having been done by Baker Tilly last year or not. Adam, I'm sorry, you probably have other questions as well. Adam Yoder?
No, you guys covered a lot of mine. The only thing that sticks out when we look back at the history is RKL, Baker Tilly, now RKL again. The only thing I can think of is, was there a reason we went from RKL to Baker Tilly 2 years ago? But all the same questions, you answered a lot of them. And we just don't know that answer. Understood. The CFO of RVT may know that. I would be kind of curious if there was any rationale to that, but
I can even have her here for Thursday night's meeting. That way, if you guys have questions for her, that she may be able to answer.
Yep. That might be useful, I guess. Might be helpful.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, all of us are sort of struggling to understand how the auditing process reflects an actual auditing of our books and sort of the connection there. And not that our books don't seem to be fairly well audited, but it just seems as though there are things that we discover sometimes that have happened financially that we're a little surprised by, and why are we not finding those in the audit? So I think that's the source of some of the kind of confusion as to who we're using and why. But anyway, it sounds as though clearly a transit-based entity to audit, a transit-based auditing company to audit a transit-based entity seems like a wise decision to me. So we'll look forward to seeing the results. Adam, Bonnie, anything further?
Yeah, this is the first audit this year, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it'll be interesting to see. Again, we want to see the comparisons from last year to this year. Okay.
Yep.
And then, if there are no further questions,
I make a motion, we pass this on to a full body of council with a positive recommendation.
second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then once again, I'm underprepared, but our final resolution, final item on the agenda, number 3, is, hang on just 1 second, folks. Is not coming up for me.
Want me to read it for you?
Sure, if you want to, Bonnie. My everything's moving incredibly slow.
While it's downloading. Resolution authorizing the execution of a I can't even talk correctly, monitoring agreement between the city of Williamsport and Lycoming County in conjunction with River Valley Transit's Unified Planning Work Program for FY 2020 to 2022.
Thank you, Bonnie. Adam, back to you.
I am actually going to turn this over to Todd Wright. He is the representative from River Valley Transit that attends the Watts meetings moving forward. I'm
Okay.
going to let him present.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Todd.
Hello. This is a standard agreement, subrecipient agreement between the city and Williamsport and the county of Lycoming, renewed every 2 years for transit planning activities funded by FTA and PennDOT. The planning subcontract is for 2 fiscal years, FY21 and FY22, and matches the planning activities that are conducted in RVT's Unified Planning Work Program, UPWP. This has already been approved by the Watts Technical and Coordinating Committees in November of 2019. The budget for the transit portion of the work program under Section 5309 funding has been established at $66,250 annually for FY20 and through FY22. The local share is 10%, and that's provided through RVT's annual operating budget. The contract itself is for $103,000 that is invoiced half at the end of 2021 and the other half at the end of 2022. There are a number of tasks that RVT is the lead agency on in the UPWP, which would be coordination and economic development, transportation infrastructure, long-range planning, and program management. I believe the breakdowns of each of those categories was distributed, and with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Okay. Bonnie, Adam?
Yeah, Todd, are you the one who's going to be handling this?
From this point forward, yeah. This used to be handled by Kevin Kilpatrick, who's no longer with RVT. So moving forward, I'll be the point contact for RVT with Watts and the MCO.
Just is Mark Morawski still involved at all, even though he's retired?
Yes.
So he is still around doing things. Okay.
Yes.
The other question, see, this goes back, you remember back 2 years, because there's a lot of work that goes into this. I mean, you have to do, performance reports and things like that, compliance. There's so much, and this is almost like a full-time job. From what I remember.
That's correct. A lot of what's in the UPWP goes along with all of our reporting requirements for FTA and PennDOT. They're laid out in both, but they're pretty much duplicate. So what we do for the feds and PennDOT, we also do in conjunction with the UPWP.
Okay. Because there is a lot of work that goes into it. A lot of work.
Yep, there's a lot of reporting requirements for DBE, Title VI, all of our ridership data that we have to report. It all kind of goes hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
You're up for the task, right?
Yep.
God, I'm going to tell you, when you look down, you look like Bill Wright. I'm going to tell you, a young Bill Wright.
Thank you.
Seriously. It's kind of freaky. I'm sorry.
Adam Yoder, any questions from you?
No, not really. I guess the only thing that comes to mind after Bonnie's comments are, I mean, I'm assuming that Todd, you've been exposed to this in the past before taking this on full time, so you have a good idea of what's going on, what you need to do, what have you, or is this are you coming in blind to this?
No, some of the recording requirements, I've had my hands in quite a bit with what we do with Best Transit.
Okay.
There is some things, I guess, a learning curve involved with RVT because EMTA is a rural system, everything's directly through PennDOT.
Yeah.
RVT as an urban system, there's a mix between FTA and PennDOT. So there's some things that I need to get a little bit of learning into, but I think I'm up for the task.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you are. Where do you get the resources that you need for the, learning curve that areas that you're going to face? Is that an internal thing? Is that a PennDOT thing?
Some of it's internal, some of it Scott Williams over with the county has been real helpful. And some of the other staff here that's been involved with it has been helping internally as well.
Okay. So, you've got where to go.
Yes.
Okay.
And for my part, Todd, I might say that I've been the Watts rep from council for years now, but Dave Banks has taken that over from me. He should be at the next meeting, the meeting on June 15th. And I attempted to give him some pointers, but of course, as part of the coordinating committee, sometimes your understanding of some of the items is a little limited. So if you might help give him some pointers as well, and sort of tell him a bit what RBT's role in Watts is, and how important. I know that was always a huge. Bill Nichols was constantly saying to me, we really need to work on this because we need to be advocates for the city with the Watts committee. So anyway, to the extent that we as politicians, I guess, as elected officials, can help to advocate for things that boost public transit alternatives in the city, that boost walkability, bikeability, things like that. We're always happy to be involved. And this element of the plan, while a fairly small part of what the Watts committee takes care of, is clearly really key to the way the city operates, especially in the way RBT operates. So we look forward to hearing more about it as we go on. Bonnie, Adam Yoder, any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, then I'll take a motion.
Go ahead, Adam. Make a motion, we pass it on to a full body of council with a positive recommendation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
and-
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much, Todd, and thanks, Adam Winder.
Thank
This currently is looking like one of the shortest finance committees I've chaired in a very long time. Does anyone have any items to introduce under any related items for the finance committee to consider?
Nope.
Nope. Joe Pavlock, anything from your side? Is Joe even here still?
No,
I guess we should be getting next quarter reports here at some point soon. And my understanding is we should be seeing capital budget stuff a little on the late side, but coming in here shortly as well. But for right now, if nobody has anything further for the good of the order, Joe, you're showing up on my screen.
no.
Okay. Then I guess I take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That is definitely the shortest finance meeting we've had in probably a year and a half.
My God, it's not even
Hang
1:30.
on, we're still live.